Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Hello to the D-Lab community. Hello to the YouTube community. You are all amazing and beautiful people. We got Bruce in the chat. What's going on? Bruce, Tina, and Steph are here. Shane Egan's here as well. We got Laura Ryan Stole My Fan Fiction Story in the chat. Fan Addicts of Film. Mark Lazarth is here. Stream Elements. Aiden Vickery is also here as well. GMonkey76 is here as well. Alex McCarthy says, howdy, Odin. What's going on? Alex McCarthy says, how's it going? I'm just hanging around watching 3 from Hell with the wife. Hope all is well. Well, thank you very much for that. Everything is indeed going very well. Had a very nice, relaxing day today. A little rainy outside, but I like it. I like it when it's rainy. I like it when it's overcast. I was able to spend most of the day with Freya, so it was a very, very nice day. Very nice Saturday. Professional Gun 66 says, hello everyone, Tarantino rocks. Is China upset with the Bruce Lee scene? I imagine that's probably one of the scenes that he was going to have to make some changes to, but there were probably other things too. Keep in mind that for any film to show in China, it has to go through their censors, meaning even if there's a film that is a PG movie, there are likely going to be scenes that are either cut or changed or lines that have to be changed in order for the film to be shown, because they control everything. And that's what happens in a communist system, right? And that's the reason why China sucks. And I'm really glad that you have a lot of people now in China that are starting to speak up, speak out, and try and do something about it. I think that it's crazy that in 2019, in a developed country, we still have a communist regime. So I'm hoping that the people can step up and stand out and do something about it. And it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. Basic Observer says, Pax Christi Vobiscum. Thank you very much, good sir. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Maverick, what's going on? John Forge is here. How is it going? How is it going? Happy birthday, John Forge. Happy birthday, John Forge. Tucker Bear says, I love Pizza Hut, says Tucker Bear. Oh, we got Tucker in the chat. What's going on, Tucker? How is it going? It is, Pizza Hut is probably one of my least favorite types of pizza. In fact, the wife and I, we got crust today. It's an amazing pizza place up here in Tennessee, and it is absolutely delicious. Slim Hippo is in here as well. Laura says, the weather is awesome here. Your leaves changing yet? Freaking love autumn. I love autumn as well, and it's just starting to change. We just got cool as of about last week, and so, or 2 weeks ago at this point. And so it's finally starting to change a little bit. Probably in the next couple weeks, by the end of October, we'll get some really nice color in here, and I cannot wait. Definitely gonna have to do a lot of vlogs during that time because it's gonna be beautiful. Jay Stowe says, "Gee, Odin, what are we going to do today?" Narf. Gee, Odin, what are we going to do today? Narf. I missed that show. That was such a great show. It really was. Alex McCarthy says, 2 things I know, China sucks, and you have a movie blog. Wait, I have a movie blog. This is news to me. I did not know this. But yes, China absolutely sucks. Absolutely sucks. And not the people of China. The people of China, I'm sure, are very nice people, very good people. But the government, on the other hand, oof. We got Captain K-Man and Captain Dean Heiss over on the D-Lives. What's going on, peeps? What's going on, my captains? Captain Dean Heiss says, hey, Odin, just wanted to pop in real quick and say hi before leaving for a party tonight. Have a good stream. Well, thank you very much, good sir. And Captain Dean Heiss, your copy of John Wick 3 4K should have showed up. No. Sorry, reverse that. Logan 4K should have showed up at your door over the past couple of days, so hopefully it got to you. Fanax of Film, thank you very much for the $5 super chat, says, Sana Amanat is responsible for the destruction of Marvel Comics. She is a communist. Disney has been infiltrated by communists. I don't know who that is. As I say a lot, I don't really follow comics all that much because I'm not much of a comics person. I have nothing against them. I just have never really been into them as a format. But that being said, I believe you. I believe you when you say that, because when you look to the current state of movies, you look to the current state of Marvel, you look at the current state of most things, it seems definitely that there's infiltrations of some kind, whether they're communists or SJW or, name your group. None of it's going to be good. None of it is going to be good at all. Lord. Alex McCarthy, got you. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, hello, sir. I'm listening to you while watching good movies. I'm currently watching Empire Strikes Back. That is a very good movie. In fact, that is, I would say, the best Star Wars movie of all time. So that's a very good choice for you. Boston's in the chat. What's going on, Boston? Carson's here as well. All right. We got the students. The students have raided the channel once again. It's been a while. Let's see. Chinaman says, Chinaman is back even if we don't agree on a lot of things, and that's normal. I like different opinions, but I like you, man. Good channel. Well, thank you very much, Chinaman. Yeah, I know Chinaman disagrees with me a lot on my take on DC. I think that he is, I believe he's the one that has been defending Zack Snyder and Zack Snyder's vision and such, which obviously I don't agree with at all. I think that Zack Snyder is a very overrated filmmaker. I don't think he's very talented at that. And that's just, again, that's just my personal opinion. I just have a lot of issues with this film. I just don't think any of his films have really aged very well. And again, that's just a personal preference. And that's why you can come here, you can disagree, and we can have a nice, friendly discussion. And I always appreciate friendly discussions. J Money J, thank you very much for the $5 super chat, says, hello, Odin's movie blog. How woke do you think the all-female Marvel movie will be? Well, we haven't gotten it officially announced yet at this point, but A-Force is likely going to happen. There's a lot of conversations going on about it. And I'm going to guess that it's going to be as woke as they want it to be, because that is a film that, again, most people really aren't asking for at this point, especially if they're just going to force it. If it happened to happen naturally, organically, no one would have a problem with it. No one has a problem with films that feature all female or mostly female cast, right? No one actually has that issue. The issue comes in when things get forced. The issue comes in when unorganically, not naturally, ideas, personalities, agendas are being pushed down our throats. And that's what's been happening a lot with Star Wars. That is what's happening now with Marvel films, I would say. And A-Force, to me, seems like a very good indication that we will likely get a lot of that. We'll get a lot of agenda-driven stuff in that film. And it's really sad because there are actually some really good people in those movies, right? There are some really talented actresses in those roles. Unfortunately, they're going to be swept up in the agenda, and it's just not going to end up good for any of them. The Hunga Chunga Funga Monkey, thank you very much for the two. I always forget euro or pound, but thank you very much for the super chat nonetheless. He says, hashtag Chuck Fina. Yes, Chuck Fina indeed. Always love the play on words there. And also Drake is 6. Thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. Codename Large says, what would you say if there were 20 of us Xbox watching you? Oh, damn. That would be pretty intense. 20 people, you say. Is that 20 people all at the same place? Is that why there's a bunch of students in right now? There's 20 of you in one location? How are you making that work? Are you supposed to be playing the Xbox together? You can't play 20 people at the same time. What kind of nonsense is this? Let's see. Tina, thank you very much for letting them know how it goes. We got Carson in the chat. Griffin's in the chat. Oh, Lord. Super Anime Gamer says, hey, what is up, my dude? What is going on? How is it going? Jennifer G's in the chat. Bruce says, it's always nice here when the leaves change. Yeah, so Bruce really isn't all that far away from me. He's up in Kentucky, and where Tina is as well. So we'll be getting leaves changing around the same time, which should be quite fun. Quite fun. Papa John's is not the best pizza. If we're talking about fast food pizza, Domino's is the best fast food pizza. Just hands down. Because not only is it the cheapest, like you get the best deals on it, but ever since they introduced that garlic butter crust on their hand tossed, it is delectable. It is beautiful. Aiden Vickery says, cool in the last week. Don't be modest. You have been cool for longer than that. Oh, well, thank you, Aiden Vickery. I wouldn't say so, but I appreciate you saying so. Yeah, weather-wise, it's been cool for the last couple weeks. It's been very, very nice. Tina says, my spidey sense is tingling. Are there students in the stream tonight? Yes, there are. Yes, there are indeed. Laura says, what movie are you looking forward to this fall, if any? Yeah, it seems hard to think about. I would say, what is it? Dr. Sleep is one that I think has a lot of potential behind it. And, oh, my Lord. I want to say there's one other film, Lighthouse. The Lighthouse looks pretty interesting to me. It's one where the trailer intrigued me enough to where I really do want to check it out at some point. And I'm probably forgetting a couple other films. I kind of, in all honesty, I kind of want to see Cats because I've never seen the musical before. I've always had this unexplicable, unexplained hatred of the musical just because of the concept of it alone, and it just always looked creepy to me, and I never understood why someone would go see a musical that is about cats and the lives of cats. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I've only ever known one song from it, and that's Memory. So I almost kind of want to see that now, not just because I want to buy a ticket to it before seeing Star Wars, that way my money goes to that Nightmare Fuel Fest, but also because ever since that trailer came out, I can't get it out of my head. There's just something about it. just something about it. I can't explain it. Fan Addicts of Film. Fan Addicts of Film, thank you for the $5 super chat, says they will probably purchase seats for A-Force just like Captain Marvel. Just my speculation. Yeah, it's still hard for me to really say that seats were bought and purchased for that movie. I honestly think it comes down to the fact that the film got a lot of promotion behind it, that the film got a much wider and broader a release than it needed to get. But because it got that wide release, it was able to get more people into the seats. But it means that because there were more theaters, less people were in those seats, which is why you had many empty theaters, which is why you had, because there was a big story that came out mostly in Australia. And I remember when this came out, and in Australia, the big idea, the big concept was, oh, there's these seats, there are entire rows selling out, but no one's sitting there. But then we found out after the fact from people that work at those theaters that is how it always works. That there's the first 2 rows, which are the terrible rows, right, that are always listed as sold out, that are always listed as sold, and they're saved in case it ever sells out, in case they ever get to a sellout situation and they have to unlist them. And having worked at a theater, I know that there were times that we would do something similar to that where we would sell it out even if there were seats left, because we didn't want to have a situation where maybe one person snuck in or the only seats available are those first 2 rows. And obviously people complain, people want money back, right? And so we ended up always shorting it about 10 seats where our theater could, let's say, fit 400 people, but we would say it's sold out at 390, right? Which is just, I think, a sensible thing to do for a wide variety of reasons. So I can see why they would do that as well up there as well. But yeah, as I said, I've never found there's enough evidence to suggest that they actually went out and bought seats to Captain Marvel. I've never been able to buy that. I just think that the Disney machine, and the other reason too is that, are you saying they also did that for Lion King, for Aladdin, for Toy Story 4, and for all these other films that have also reached the $1 billion mark? It just seems to me that it's a film that got crap ton of Disney money promotion behind it, got a China release, right? And China is obviously going to provide money for it, whether the film's successful or not, because you know that they're making deals with China, because that's why I love South Park. South Park has called them out recently because of their dealings with China. So yeah, that's where I stand on that issue. Let's see. Tina says, yep, if they're talking about turning in papers, then yes, students always will know that. Always will know that. Bruce says, China sucks. China sucks. It really, really sucks. China sucks. You're right. Absolutely right. That song bodes well and fits very well with that as well. All righty here. Let us see. Drake is 6. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Says, hey, get a green screen and use Gary's comic book store as the backdrop. You know Gary had a comic book store, Odin, right? That's true. That is true. I really should. Just like with what Mary Mayhem, who has just joined the Geeks and Gamers channel, awesome channel. Go check out Mary. She's fantastic. She has a green screen, and so she put herself into Jeremy's boathouse, or whatever. No, a pool house. Boathouse. Yeah, Jeremy's got a boathouse now, but into his pool house, and it was brilliant of her to do. And for a second, because I didn't see the fuzzy edges where you could see and tell there's a green screen there, I honestly thought, I was like, wait a minute, she found an exact spot that looks the exact same as Jeremy's room. That's kind of weird. And it is interesting how that worked. Alrighty, let's see here. Bruce says, you still have the Bent Marvel Blu-ray. Yes, I do. So last night, in celebration of Jeremy reaching the 200,000 subscriber mark over on the Geeks and Gamers channel, I ended up destroying the Captain Marvel Blu-ray. So I have the remnants of that in the disc here. So let me just go ahead, and I don't want it to fall on the floor because then my dogs will find it, and I don't want my dogs to get injured because of Captain Marvel. So here's the leftover of the Captain Marvel case, and here's the Blu-ray. Oh, piece fell. I got it. Here we go. So here's the remnants of the actual Blu-ray itself. Don't worry though, if you weren't there, it's still up, it's still online, and I do have another copy that I could always destroy down the road. So the plan is I'm going to be mailing off the shards and the shards of that to Jeremy, so that way he can put it next to his 100,000 subscriber plaque that he got from YouTube. It was pretty great. Animation commentator, what's going on, bruv? He says, hello again, Odin. It's been a while. It has been a while. It's great to have you back, good sir. Super says, Santa Amanat also co-created the current version of Miss Marvel. That may be more familiar to you. That is definitely a little bit more. Yes. Okay. I know who you're talking about now, because was she the one that they were pegging to write or to help write one of the stories for the movie or for the TV series? Maybe I'm wrong on that one. I'm not exactly sure. Captain K-Man, thank you very much for the 2 ice cream donation over on DLive. Stray Dog 65, what's going on, Captain K-Man? Stray Dog 65 says, does it cost money to book the theaters? My local small market multiplex has Captain Marvel on 3 of the 9 screens. Wait, Captain Marvel's playing. Captain Marvel? Is that what your CM means? Or am I just getting the wrong movie there? So basically, the way it works is that the studios are not going to pay to have their movies show there, because obviously the studios and theaters already have these contracts with each other. Basically, the way it works is that they share profits. So opening weekend, a studio in the United States at the very least oftentimes will get about 90% of the entire ticket cost. So let's say you go to a movie and it costs $10. $9 of that goes to the studio. $1 of that goes to the theater. That's the reason why popcorn and drinks are so expensive, because theaters don't really make a whole lot of money off of ticket sales. Now, let's say it's a movie that does very well for a long period of time. Well, the contracts are normally for the first couple of weeks, where a studio will get that much money. As the movie is older in release, that means it's more of a liability for that theater, right? Because less people want to see it. It means that they're going to be showing a movie to less people, meaning they'll have empty seats in these various theaters. So that's a liability on the theater's part, which means they're going to get more of that money to compensate for the loss of sales, because no longer having the amount of desire to go see it. So if there's a very successful movie that's out for a long time and does well for weeks on end, the longer a movie's out, the more money that the theater will make from those tickets. But again, keep in mind that the biggest theater sale tickets that you're going to get, the biggest sales rather, that you're going to have at a theater are always going to be the first couple weeks. And that's when the studios are getting 90% of those box office receipts. So the movie theaters themselves don't really make a whole lot of money. That's why they overcharge for things like popcorn and drinks. Fun little fact there. Darth Merle says, good day, Odin. Critics are attacking Zombieland 2 because they decided to not go woke. It is a great movie. Go watch. I've heard great things about it. And yeah, I'm honestly not surprised by that. They wanted it to go in a woke direction, and instead they decided, guess what? Guess what Zombieland 2 decided? It decided to keep the characters the same as they were when the movie first came out, meaning that it's the same iteration with maybe a few more years of experience, but they're not going to completely change the character for the sake of wokeness. That is a brilliant thing, and that makes me very happy. So Darth Morrow, glad to hear that from you. Definitely a movie that I want to see. Peter Han says, how come Kristen Stewart is not being cast as Catwoman? Oh, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Codename Large says, when are you going to go to Cookout? I'm doing the best I can, man. Unfortunately, it's close to the school, and I'm about 15 minutes away, and so it's kind of out of my ways to go there, and it's just timing. It's timing, man. I might have a couple days off where I get to leave towards the end of the day because I might have an off period. I might try and see if I can do it then, but I've just eaten lunch at that point. It's a complicated thing. It's on my list of things to do. You know this. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, Odin, I forgot to mention that I defeated Sigrun and Planiamud, God of War, pro gamer here. That is pro game moves. Chinaman says, no, I didn't defend Zack Snyder. Actually, I defended Birds of Prey. I really like the trailer, but I understand the opposite position. Oh, okay, gotcha. I couldn't remember because I've had some people that have had good discussions, right? Good back and forth when they disagree with me. And I know that you have been one that I've had a lot of back and forth with. I just couldn't remember which it was. So it was Birds of Prey. Yeah, because I just think the Birds of Prey trailer looks awful. And that's just my thought. Stephanie B says, you demand. No, you demand, Steph. You demand. John Miller says, my brother was upset yesterday because our mother left town to find us a new place for us in the Twin Cities, and she forgot to get a Hulu gift card. He couldn't watch HBO last night. I'm sorry to hear that. Cupcake Geek says, OMG, I haven't been on a stream for so long. Hi, Odin. Hello, Cupcake Geek. Welcome back. Haven't seen that name in a while. Glad to have you back. Super Anime Gamer says, I'm good, thanks. Deprived myself of sleep for a week because I'm crazy. So spent today chilling watching movies. Just got done La La Land. Thought it was pretty good. You see, I did not like La La Land. I was one of those persons that just didn't like it. I thought the music was just not very catchy at all. It was very forgettable. I couldn't remember a single song when I left the theater. It was very sad. And I'm someone that actually loves that director, Damien Chazelle. He was the one that did Whiplash. Whiplash is one of my all-time favorites. And he also even did more recently, he did First Man, which was also a very well done film. I just don't like La La Land. I like the actors in it. I think the performances are very solid, but everything else is it's just a little too rough for me. Just a little too rough around the edges. Laura says, FYI, Southerners call people who come to the mountains to view the fall foliage leaf lookers. Is that true? Well, seeing that I live here now, I would say that I'm probably more than just a foliage leaf looker. But I can understand why people would say that, right? Because people literally, my parents would be considered foliage leaf lookers because they love to drive up during the fall so that they can see the leaves change. Tina says, that garlic butter crust is amazing. You were absolutely right about that. And that is the reason why I will defend Domino's. Laura says, Lighthouse is out here this weekend, but only playing in the city, and I don't go to San Fran. Ew. Yeah, I can understand why you wouldn't go. Yeah, I remember I used to live, even just back in New Orleans, I used to live near a theater that would always get every single independent film. Like, it was never a first run. It was never a New York, LA first run location. But anytime a movie was playing outside of those two cities, it would oftentimes go to my theater that I used to work at down in New Orleans. So being up here has been hard because we don't get a lot of indie films. So there's a lot of films that I would love to see. For example, everyone's talking about this film, Parasite. I think that one was only released in a few theaters, so it still hasn't quite reached out too much. But haven't gotten that one yet, and I know that a lot of people have been talking about it a great deal. So yeah, I'm sad to hear that, but hopefully we'll get Lighthouse pretty soon. I'm pretty sure because of the star caliber in that it will start limited and then eventually become a more wide release. And I am actually looking forward to that one. I'm interested to see the direction they go with that. Mr. Happy Sack, thank you for the $2 super chat, says Zombieland 2 tonight at 9 p.m. That sounds like fun. I hope you enjoy it. Over up on DLive, Captain Mr. Roy, thank you for the diamond donation and for the 5 ice cream donations. Thank you very much, Captain Mr. Roy. Very generous of you, good sir. And Mr. Roy, Captain Mr. Roy has been a sub now for several months, so thank you very much, Captain Mr. Roy. You're awesome. Death Knight 123 over there says, I think I missed a couple of streams. Sorry about that. Anyways, have you watched What About Bob yet or listened to The Cars? You have missed a few streams, have not listened to The Cars, have not seen What About Bob yet. It's on my list of things to do. But as Bruce knows, because Bruce sends me all these movies, he's making my list so much more harder to tackle. I have started to watch El Camino, which is the movie follow-up to Breaking Bad. Halfway through it, loving it so far. I mean, it's a film I didn't think I ever would need because the ending to Breaking Bad was so perfect. I'm glad we have it now. And I'm only halfway through, so I can't wait to see where it goes from here. But to shout out Bruce, he sent me another film to watch, and that is a film called Zulu, which is a film I've never seen before, but it actually features Michael Caine. And so I'm wondering if this is the movie where he found a ruby the size of a tangerine. I know it's not, but still. Thank you, Bruce, for Zulu. I appreciate that. Yet another movie that I need to watch. Tina says, I was messaging with my nephew yesterday. I told him to tell the family no Fandango or Adam Tickets gift cards. There is nothing of interest out there now. Yeah, for right now, you're absolutely right about that. Laura says, heading to Amazon to look for Cats merch. Mwahaha. 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 I bet you are, Laura. We had Dark Star 57. Randy, he actually sent me a while ago at this point. He sent me a Cats t-shirt to wear on Star Wars opening night. I forgot where I put it. It is definitely here with me though. And so that is at least one thing I'll be wearing to the premiere of Star Wars is the Cats shirt that he got me. Because at one point, I had a badass cat shirt. I had one of it was like the psychedelic rainbow cats riding a unicorn. It was one of the greatest things that's ever existed. And I got it because I used to do theme park trips with some friends, and they would always try and create a theme, which I was never into. I'm the kind of person where it's like, I just want to go to the theme park. I don't need all this extra stuff. But they ended up getting me a shirt anyway, and I had to wear it at least once. It was actually a pretty hilarious shirt, though. It's a cat riding a unicorn with it's great. It's wonderful. Hammer says, "Hi Odin, as a fellow collector, I enjoyed your Blu-ray collection update video very much. Long live physical media." Damn right. Love my physical media. Yeah, that video that video is evidence that YouTube really just doesn't care about content creators, because that video had no algorithm power to it at all. And it's just amazing that, we have over 16,000 subscribers right now, which is amazing. And again, I'm so very thankful to every single one of you, especially the ones that watch the live streams and comment every day and watch the videos. But I tell you, it's just amazing to me that you can have 16,000 subscribers, but only 300 people watch a video that's not a current events type. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And it just shows you that YouTube system is broken. So thank you, Hammer. I appreciate that, because that's definitely it's a video I'm proud of, because I did a lot of work for that, because I did, have to actually I'm not regretting having said that. I had to do so much work. I had to put the movies into my Blu-ray player and actually watch them. So, but it was still something where it was more than what I normally do. Because what I normally do is I come home, I see what news is going on. If there's something that interests me, I pull it up, I hit record, and I give my instant thoughts and reactions. I don't create scripts for better or worse. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's always going to be pure thought with me, right? It's always going to be pure, unfiltered thought when it comes to the videos that I do normally. And that was like one of the few videos where I actually did a little bit of preparation for it beforehand. So thank you, Hammer. I appreciate that, man. And yes, long live physical media. In fact, there's one great channel, if I can recommend, since you also love physical media, there's a channel called Films at Home. He's at 16,000 subscribers. He is a great YouTuber, great channel. And he does nonstop. Every video is about physical media, and he's the one that I've actually learned a lot from about physical media. He's the one that I learned that information about how they render effects at 2K resolution. The reason why, so for a little history or a little, education. So Blu-rays, right, play at 1080p resolution, or what we could say is 2K resolution. Now the big drive is 4K, which obviously is double the image quality, and also there's HDR, things like that. He goes into details with all the movies that he talks about, all the movies that he reviews. But what he mentioned in several of his reviews, and it's actually helped me a lot, and it's also helped me to dispel, because there's a rumor going around that they're reshooting most of Star Wars Episode 9, which is just, it can't be true. And the reason why is because what is most of Star Wars Episode 9? CGI. Do you know how long it takes for them to render a CGI image? A long time. And what I found out, though, is that most images you see in a movie theater, if it is a heavy CGI movie, is likely going to be at no higher than 2K resolution, even though movie projectors can play 6K, right, resolution, because they have the ability to do so. But the reason why movie theaters, or rather movie studios, only release movies at this 2K, and therefore, even if you get a 4K disc, right, even if you get a 4K movie, if it's a movie like Avengers, where there's a lot of CGI, the image itself actually will only be a 2K quality, even on a 4K disc. They just upscale it. So they make it so where it's a 2K resolution, it is a little bit bigger, right? Because they have to upscale it in that way in order to fit the image on the disc. But it's not true 4K resolution. And the reason why is because it takes so much data and so much time to render effects at any resolution, let alone 4K. So a little nerding out there, but the channel Films at Home is a great YouTube channel. Valks, if y'all could post a link to his channel, he's great. Chris Stanley, thank you much for the $5 donation. He says, another movie you need to watch is another Bill Murray classic, The Man Who Knew Too Little. Yeah, I've never heard of that one before, The Man Who Knew Too Little. But I'll go ahead and pull up my list. It's been a long time since I've added a movie to the list, and the list is just it keeps growing, and I'm not being very good about it. I'm not doing a good job taking care of movies on the list. I'm gonna have to start fixing that. But let's see, The Man Who Knew. Also, I love the play on word with that, because obviously there's the movie The Man Who Knew Too Much. So I think that just already sounds like it's gonna be amazing. But thank you, Chris Stanley, for that donation. I appreciate it. All right, back to the YouTube chat, back to the live chat. Of course, by live I mean behind, because I always fall behind. And let's see, currently it is 7:14 in the chat. It is 7:14 in the chat. It is 7:29 where I am, so it looks like it unfortunately looks like some comments were skipped. So I'm very sorry if your comment was skipped, but I'm at 7:14 in the chat. So if your comment was before 7:14 and before Aiden Vickery's comment about Doomcock being correct, that would be where we are in the chat right now. So Aiden Vickery says Doomcock is correct at 75%. Is Rise of Skywalker's reshoots? Any idea or guess what the production budget might be? Will it need to make $1 billion to break even? So, we talked about this last night on Friday Night Tights. Much love to Doomcock, and even Doomcock in his video makes it clear that he's still not even sure. He's just reporting on what the rumor is. And the reason why I can already tell you that that number is just not accurate is because we know that the vast majority of any film is going to be CGI related. And if they were reshooting or remaking 75% of the entire movie, that would take too much time. They would not have enough time to get a movie release in December. They would have to push back the release date, which they're not doing. So they're probably doing some reshoots. That I do believe, but it would not be 75% of the movie. But even reshoots are not cheap. So I would not be surprised if the production budget for this is roughly around $250 to $300 million. In fact, let me see if we have an early estimate of this, because sometimes this comes out early. So Rise of Skywalker budgets. Let's see if we've got a number yet. Financial information. They may not have released this yet because it is still in the process of filming. And yeah, I'm not finding a number. So yeah, it looks like they are still obviously in post-production at the very least. So we probably won't get a number of how much it costs to make for another month or so. I know that tickets are going on sale. For those that don't know, for those that want to buy their ticket to Rise of Skywalker, those tickets go sale on Monday. So you can buy your ticket to that on Monday. Aren't you excited? And then we're supposedly getting a trailer soon, or apparently as well. So yeah, if that was true, yes, they would probably have to make roughly $1 billion. However, it's probably not true, at least not fully true. It's a rumor, speculation. They're doing some reshoots. I would imagine their production budget's going to be around $300 million. Take into account marketing, they're probably going to spend close to $500 million on the entire project when you count marketing into it, which means that they even then, before reshoots or before crazy reshoots, they would still need to make over $1 billion to break even, because they only get 60% of the box office receipts. So yeah. Cupcake Geek says, Apple or Android? I'll guess you'll say Android. Absolutely Android. Android provides you so much more customization options. There's two things that Apple products do better. One, iMessage. iMessage is a great invention. It'd be really awesome if we had a viable alternative to that, or if they would open it up to other people and other platforms. But Apple is very smart, because they say, no, we're going to keep it here, because then you have to buy and spend thousands of dollars on our phones and our products. And then when something breaks, spend thousands of dollars replacing those products, because we want to keep you in our system. So they do iMessage very well. And I would also say that Apple does videoing. I think cameras are now pretty matched up when it comes to Android versus Apple, but video quality, Apple's always been very good at doing video quality for their phones. Tired Odin is here, says the only reason Jeremy hit 200K is because he works me so hard that I didn't sleep. You're damn right, Tired Odin. Speak the truth. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, I've been recently watching Star Wars again, starting with episode 3, because screw 1 and 2. That movie is so good and yet so bad, I kept laughing the whole time. Yeah, they're fun to watch. Glinzer says, it'll be interesting to see how Space Jam 2 starring LeBron does in Hong Kong. I think that you're absolutely right there. I would be surprised. That's going to be interesting, because that film is set to come out in 2021. And so I'm wondering what that film is going to be in 2021, and also where Hong Kong is going to be in 2021, where the rest of China is going to be in 2021 as well. It should be very interesting. Alex McCarthy says, Birds of Prey trailer is meh at best. I would agree with that statement for sure. Chinaman says, for fun, my top 10, Birdman, 2001 Space Odyssey, Blood Diamond, Vertigo, The Dark Knight, Casablanca, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, Inception, Citizen Kane, Interstellar. That is a great top 10 list. I do not have an issue with any of those films. I think all of those films are fantastic. I do not have a all-around top 10 yet. I can only ever give top 3, Casablanca, 12 Angry Men, and It's a Wonderful Life. Those are usually in my top 3. At some point, I would like to make a top 10 list, but as of now, I've got a top 10 for 2019 going on right now. I have a ranking list of that, so let me see if I can pull that up. Because my current list My current list is Joker is at number 1. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is at number 2. John Wick 3 is at number 3 on my list. Alita Battle Angels coming in at number 4. Brightburn at number 5. Yesterday at number 6. Shazam at number 7. Fighting with My Family at number 8. Detective Pikachu at number 9. And The Fanatic at number 10. And the only reason why The Fanatic's on there is because it is this decade's The Room. If you've ever seen The Room, it's one of the worst but funniest movies of all time. That's what The Fanatic is. And since The Room came out in 2003 and we're in 2019, this decade needs its own version, and it's called The Fanatic, and it's wonderful. It is wonderful. That's a nosebleed. That's bad. That's real bad. Legit 36. How tall are you? I'm 6 foot. 6 foot tall. Jace Doe says, never saw BVS or Justice League, so I don't know how Affleck was as Batman. Was curious on your thoughts on how he did as Batman. His Batman in BVS was, it's hard to say, right? I think that his Batman was actually, for the most part, pretty solid. The unfortunate thing is that he was being directed by Zack Snyder. I hate to say it that way, but it's true. Zack Snyder's not really someone that gets the greatest performances out of his actors. He cares more about visuals. He cares more about style. He's always been style over substance, which is why I don't think his movies age very well, because when the style becomes outdated, you've got nothing left to rely on. And that's why 300 doesn't match up for me. I know that Tina and Steph, my Valkyries, disagree with me on that point vehemently, and I think rightly so. However, I think that he was fine as Batman. I would still have loved to have seen him as Batman in his own film. If he had directed his own Batman film, I think that would have been one of the best versions of Batman we'd ever get. But sadly, that is not the case. Mr. Doctor, Professor Wingster says, and I thought they smelled bad on the outside. Super says, we're opposites on Chazelle. I actually didn't like Whiplash when I first saw it. I can agree music in La La Land wasn't spectacular, but I adored the cinematography and production design. Oh, those two elements are fantastic, Super. But to me, story is also very important, right? I think that if you don't have a story in a film like that, and if you have a musical and your music is not memorable and is not solid, then you have a problem. That's why I personally love The Greatest Showman. There are some major problems with the CGI. There are some major problems with the story, but it's a musical and they hit the music out of the park. And you're able to forgive certain elements because of that, right? Sometimes there's movies where you can, in your own subjective view, forgive certain failures from the objective standpoint because you are overjoyed or very pleased by certain elements of the film. So that was what it sounds to me like. Because of your love of cinematography and production design, those were able to get you past any of the flaws of the film. But for me, music is kind of a little bit too important. John Early says, Allfather, I used to like to use fancy James Bond film fan terminology to describe Infinity War and Endgame. To me, Infinity War is Skyfall and Endgame is Spectre. I would say that Endgame is Quantum of Solace. I think that is a lot more accurate because Spectre was not as bad as Endgame was, in my opinion. The Senate says, haven't been watching your streams in a while. Time to get back into that. Well, Senate, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Welcome back. Welcome back. Peter Han says, have you seen Waterloo, Battle of the Britain? I'm sensing a 1970s era gap in your viewing. 1980s is my weakest decade, no question about it. And much of the 1970s, I would say, would be a part of that as well. I think I've seen more films in the 1970s than I have in the 1980s, but I have not seen those films. That's probably accurate of you to say. Dude in a bathrobe said, go on BitChute, dude. Here's the thing. I'm already on BitChute, so I have all of my content mirrored. Every video that gets uploaded to YouTube gets uploaded to BitChute. The problem is that BitChute does not have monetization. The only way that you can receive anything off of there is through tips. And I don't want to be begging, I don't like begging in general, right? Because it's just something that is not necessary, and that's the other reason too, where if YouTube falls tomorrow, I'm okay because I do this for fun, right? And so for me, it's more of a principle thing, right? That's what it comes down to. YouTube says they're going to do something. YouTube promises something and then they don't deliver. And that's the reason why I've got a problem with YouTube. That's the reason why I got a problem with the platform, is because out of principle alone. Because if I was just doing this for money, I mean, I would have probably stopped a long time ago. But I'm not. I'm doing it for fun. And that's why I'll continue to have fun. But don't worry, I'm on BitChute. You can find my channel on there. Mark Lazar says, the magical Mr. Mystifuls from Cats will get you singing. Will it? Will it, though? Chinaman says, I hear a lot of people call Citizen Kane overrated, but I think it's not. It's truly one of the greatest. Orson Welles did something revolutionary for filmmaking. Thoughts? It is revolutionary, however, it's not. So here's the thing. I think it's overrated. However, it is still one of the greatest films of all time, meaning, objectively speaking, it's a damn near perfect movie. Subjectively, own personal opinion, I don't love it as much as other people do. So it's one where it's absolutely a great film, one of the greatest of all time. However, I personally am not a huge fan of it. I like it a lot. I'm just not number one fan type person. Orange Hat Review says, I heard they were doing more major reshoots on episode 9 due to the poor test screen results. Disney admits fears that they devalued Star Wars. Chances they might be catching on. We really won't know until we actually get the movie, right? We won't really know until we actually see it. And I believe that they would be doing reshoots still. They still have a few months, so they could definitely be doing some reshoots of certain scenes, but it's going to be very limited, as I said before, because there's no way they can redo major CGI set pieces or even major scenes that have a lot of CGI. I mean, think about modern Hollywood. Think about the modern Marvel film, right? Most of it is on a green screen set. It's impossible for them to be able to render those effects in that short amount of time. And so that's the reason why they've probably started to do some reshoots, but it's not going to be the major 75% that they've been talking about. Fan Addicts of Film, thank you much for the $5 super chat. Says, if you get a second, please check your Twitter. I made a Ryan Johnson and Freddie Prinze Jr. meme. I'll have to check that out a little bit later because I am very behind in the chat. Hunger Chunky Funky Munga says, I know another great YouTuber, but he's only just started, so I can't say that he's an expert on anything. Hunga Chunky has just started a YouTube channel. Hunga Chunky has been a long-time supporter of the channel. Therefore, support Hunga Chunky Funky Monkey because he is good people. He is good people. All right, chat jumped on me again, so let me go ahead and see if any comments were skipped. They have not been skipped. I'm at 729 in the chat. It's 742 where I am, so I'm still behind. Cobra Viper 999 says, if you love physical media, you have to check out Wilsonian Movie Museum channel. The guy has the most impressive collection you will ever see. Awesome, Cobra Viper. Yeah, I mean, I like him. I obviously like my boy, John Flickinger. He's got a really great Blu-ray collection, and he's got several Blu-ray collection videos also. Chris Stuckman's got a very good collection as well. And yeah, so send a link of that my way through Twitter, or if you're on the Discord, that way I can check it out later. Peter Hand says, have you seen The Man with One Red Show? The Man with One Red Show. Is that the name of the movie? Venom says, that's why it's still useless to buy a 4K TV nowadays. It's not completely useless, though, because there are a lot of movies, though, that are not the crazy superhero films that, have 2K images. Most films coming out, especially, here's the big thing too, 4K is starting to take off, meaning they're starting to release a lot of older films in the 4K format. Now, if you know anything about film, 35mm, 70mm for the IMAX, they have such a quality to them. There's so much information in every single piece of film that you're able to get upwards of 6, 8K even on a, from that. You could have a digital transfer, a digital image of the 35mm print at up to around 6 or 8K. Right now, all we have is the 4K technology as far as what's being commercially brought about and personally sold. And so now you have these older films that were shot on 35mm. Recently, they released The Shining, for example. And those films are going to look brilliant on a 4K TV because those films are actual true 4K images. Even though it was shot on an actual film reel, because of what we're able to do with our technology nowadays and what we're able to do with our transfers, it actually comes out very, very clean and very, very crisp. So I would say it's actually probably one of the best times to buy a 4K TV because they're so cheap. You can get a 50-inch 4K TV of decent quality for $300-400 now. And beforehand, you had to pay like upwards of $1,000 for a 50-inch TV. Now They've got these 85-inch OLED screens, and those are the ones that are costing an arm and a leg. But even those, at some point, will go down. So it's actually a really good time, especially if you need a new TV. If you don't need a new TV, well, then obviously don't even worry about it. But if you're in the market for one, it's actually a good time to get it. Tina says, my internet crashed. I was too busy screaming. What channel are we supposed to post? Films at Home. The channel name is Films at Home. Animation Commentator says, I started stocking up on DVDs for all the movies I love. I don't want corporations to tell me what to watch. We need to avoid streaming services as much as possible to make a point. This is a very good, very, very good point, because streaming services will always have movies, take movies away. And now, of course, we're getting to the streaming wars. So you'll have some companies that are probably going to go defunct. There's probably going to be some companies that try to do streaming services and don't succeed. And so they'll have to take movies off or have to raise the prices to access certain films. But if you own the film, you have instant, permanent access to that movie. And so I do love, and that's the reason why many people have been sending me their digital copies, because they are like, I have the physical copy. I don't need the digital copy anymore. And I totally understand that. I like, obviously, digital copies because of the convenience factor. Because obviously I'm still an American in 2019, so there's definitely some laziness that comes into it, right? So, but I also like to collect the physical media too, because let's say the internet shuts down, I can still watch my movies, right? Or let's say that the digital code service, right? Movies Anywhere is the big one now. What happens if that shuts down? What happens if they can't sustain it anymore? Look what happened to Ultraviolet. Ultraviolet got shut down, right? And luckily they were able to give a lot of time for people to transfer their movies. But these things could go away tomorrow, right? YouTube, as I always say, YouTube could go away tomorrow. These online platforms could go away. And so physical media is much more practical than you think, because not only do you save yourself from that, it's better image quality. Because no matter what your Netflix or Hulu subscription says, if you're getting a 4K resolution, you're getting it at a compressed rate, meaning you're not getting the highest quality video, you're not getting the highest quality sound. And the only way you can get that is from physical media. So that's why I'm a Blu-ray, and now getting into the 4K collectors as well. John Early says, the list, what are you? Captain America from the Winter Soldier film, All Father? That's definitely how it comes across. I like to look at myself more as a Chris Jericho character, though. Bruce says, at least you're making a list. Too bad you're not very good at watching what's on it. That's true. At least the list is being made. At least the process of the list is happening. Oh, man. Oh, man. Let's see. Captain K-Man had something going up. Says, if you're going to try and survive a zombie apocalypse and could choose one weapon, what would it be? So Apollodorus is the one that asked this question. And he says, we're talking Walking Dead style zombies, not World War Z. So Walking Dead style zombies. So very slow zombies then. Okay. All right. Gotcha. So not the crazy ones from World War Z. That's a good question. I would choose a katana. And the reason why is because I've always had a fascination with swords. I've always wanted to collect them, but for price and practicality purposes, I never did. But when I was younger, I actually took samurai sword classes. So I took martial arts like every American teenager does, really, it seems. And one aspect that we were able to add on was we could take, in addition to those classes, samurai sword training. And it was one of the coolest things in my life. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So you had not the wooden swords. You had the foam swords. So you got to hit people. So that was already fun. That was already so much damn fun with it. And so I would probably go with a katana. Again, if you're dealing with Walking Dead style zombies, definitely a katana for sure. K-Man says, it takes me 20 minutes to render a 3-minute music video, so I could just imagine rendering a 2-hour movie. So I'm going to read Captain K-Man's comment again, because this is adding on to the discussion I was having about why it's unlikely that they're reshooting 75% of Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker. He says this, it takes me 20 minutes to render a 3-minute music video. So I can only imagine rendering a 2-hour movie. Exactly. So you're rendering a movie. Let's say you're changing the effects. That means you have to re-render those effects of a 2-hour plus movie. And this movie is probably going to be, 2.5 hours? I mean, Last Jedi was 2.5 hours. So this film will likely be as long, if not longer. So imagine doing that at 2K resolution when you're not doing it at, I'm exporting it as a YouTube file, right? That's only going to be under a gig. You're dealing with hundreds of gigs of data at this point, right? If not even more than hundreds of gigs of data just for one movie. And imagine exporting that. I mean, let me just give you an example. I render my videos at 1080p resolution. If I record a 10-minute video, because of my system and because it's only 1080p and I'm doing it as a YouTube video, it takes maybe 2.5 minutes to render. If I change that to 4K 60 frames at full resolution, a 2-minute clip then takes about 20 minutes. And that's with my system. So even if they have a better system, you're talking about a long, long damn time. So Captain K-Man, thanks for bringing that up, because that's a very, very good point. And for anyone that renders video, oh gosh, yeah, that's going to take a long time. Lethal Lightning. You don't have to donate, man. Lethal Lightning coming in here. My Aussie brethren. He says, thank you for the the Aussie $2 super chat. He says, re-review Bumblebee, you sexy hunka beast. Well, thank you for that compliment. I would not call myself a hunka beast, but thank you anyway. Yeah, I don't want to, though. I don't want to watch that movie again. I didn't like it the first time. I really didn't like it. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that disagree. A lot of Transformers fans especially that disagree with me. But I was not a fan. I thought the story and the writing sucked. And there's a whole list of movies that I need to watch, including, as I said before, this movie that Bruce sent me. So, and all the movies that Bruce has sent me, and also the movies that have been sent to me by MVD and Arrow and all these other places. So, yeah, Bumblebee is going to be the last thing I watch. No offense. Chinaman, already got your list, man. Dory the Hobbit says, your predictions on Zombieland trilogy. I hope they don't make a trilogy. I hope it's 2 and then they finish. They don't need to make any more. Animation Commentator says, I wish Steven Spielberg had been able to do his version of Cats. It would have been a 2D with Amblin Studios. Yeah, but you know what? Ever since Steven Spielberg's been doing more modern films, especially films like Ready Player One, I don't really want to see much of his films anymore, to be honest. He's got to really bring me back. Ready Player One really brought me down on him. Shane Egan says, in my school history book, it says Chinese leaders learned the lessons of the past on Mao Zedong, even though Mao's worshipped like a effing god in China nowadays. Yeah, it is interesting, right? How history books just still, in so many ways, get it wrong. It's like, did they really learn? Peter Han says, my top 5 movies, Howard the Duck, Wing Commander, Cutthroat Island, Weekend at Bernie's, 2, and Dunkirk. Interesting. Tina says, got email alerts from AMC Fandango that the tickets to something called Rise of Something go on sale Monday. I don't know. I deleted the email. I have Publishers Clearinghouse to win. Yes, Tina. Yeah, I got the same. I got the AMC because I have the AMC app. I got the alert from them that it was going down. John Early says, I love you 3000 All Father. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I love you too. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, theoretically, if the Joker had a China release, do you think it would surpass The Last Jedi? Yes. Yes, I do. Because especially with the type of content and story that movie tells, it absolutely would. Because that's a film that a lot of the younger Chinese audiences would go to see. Because they would look at that and say, hey, things are pretty crappy here too. We should probably do something because we live in a communist society and we should probably do something about that. Which is probably the reason why the China censors are like, hell no, we can't let this film be watched by our people. They can't know how bad it really is. They can't know that they can do something about it. Chinaman says, I think people misinterpreted Martin Scorsese. I think he meant Marvel films aren't cinematic. They are no art in their craft, but people took it too far and criticized Marty. Oh, yeah. I think that he was definitely misunderstood because it really comes down to how you define cinema. He's not saying it's not a movie. Clearly, it's a movie. He even says, I respect what they do because I think it takes a lot of work to do what they do. By cinema to him, remember that he's a film auteur, right? He is a cinema god, a cinema legend. For him, cinema means art. I think you're right about that. And we could easily say art is subjective and, so are the Marvel films. They're art too. But there's different kinds of art, right? There's Rembrandt. There's Da Vinci, right? There's clear classic art, like actual artists. And then you got this modern day art, right? Now you got this modern day, you have to look for the symbolism. And it's like a picture of a duck. And it's considered art because, it means the duck represents the oppression of the patriarchy in society. And you hear this crap and you're like, that's not art. And obviously art is still subjective, right? However, in the case of movies, just like in the case of art, there's some clear cases where one is obviously better than the other. I don't think anyone that even would admit that the duck is art would say that it's better in any way than Da Vinci or Rembrandt or any of the old school classic artists, right? I think that we can all at least come together on this one. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Let us see. Stray Dog 65 says, why they doing all of these remakes, reboots? Because they're out of ideas, Stray Dog. They're out of ideas. They have no ideas anymore, and so they would much rather take the easy way out. And that's why there was a great quote from Francis Ford Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola, who made The Godfather and Godfather Part 2. And he was speaking at a conference recently where he said his movie would not have been made today because they would not have taken a risk on it. Because what the studios see nowadays is, what the studios ask nowadays is, can we make mega profits off of this? But even more so, can we turn this into a franchise? That is the mindset of Hollywood. Is this something we can turn into a franchise? And if it's not, they likely will not put the money into the project. We have the exceptions, right? We definitely have the exceptions to that rule, but most studios, especially giant studios like Disney, care only about creating new franchises or continuing old ones or even rebooting old ones, right? And that's why you see most of it, because it's cheap to do. You don't have to pay writers. You don't have to pay for someone's idea, right? You can just say, oh, we're just going to use and regurgitate and recycle old ideas, old concepts for nothing. And so it just comes down to laziness at this point in time. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, to all the students in the chat, remember the kids, communism is bad. Communism is bad, okay? I do have a few people to shout out who've given some super chats, though. So Lila Lightning, thank you for the Australian $2 super chat again. He says, oh, you are a sexy hunka beast. I Googled it. Well, thank you. Thank you, Lila Lightning. I appreciate that, man. I love my boy Lethal. Go subscribe to him. He's a good guy. He's good people. He's good people. If you care about Star Wars EU knowledge, he is one of the greatest persons to ask about that. Also, he is big into DC. Thomas Gilkey, thank you for the $2 super chat, says, thank you for everything you do. Well, Thomas Gilkey, thank you, man. Thank you. Seriously, I really do appreciate that. Thanks for your support. Sammy B says, need to hail Odin? Do this. Exactly. If you have a comment or question in the YouTube chat, just put Odin question, all one word. It pops up orange on my screen, and it lets me know you're trying to get my attention. I do that because we usually have between 50 and 100 people. Sometimes it gets crazier than that, but that's about the average. And sometimes it's hard because I try and read every single question and every single comment that wants to be read. I don't only make you super chat to be heard, right? That's one of the things that I try and pride myself on with this channel, is that we try and give everyone a voice. You know, that's the very least that I can do for your support. If you're rather, and to me, it's your time is as precious as your money. And that's what I want to try and always get out here when talking about this and when having these chats. So if you want to get my attention on YouTube, Odin question, all one word. If you want to get my attention over on the D Live, then just put @Odin at the beginning of your comment. Let's see. Animation Commentator says, this is the first time I'm hearing of Space Jam 2. Do you know if the Looney Tune characters are going to be 2D? It's still very early. Obviously, the film comes out in 2021, so it's still very early in its production, so I'm not exactly sure on that. Orange Hat Reviews says, did you notice that in The Joker, his revolver shot 8 bullets? Small movie mistake I noticed when researching it. I did not notice that, and I think that there's two ways you can explain it. One, that it was an honest movie mistake, which it likely was. Or two, they could have it be tied into the mental illness aspect to it of, you know, is it a memory or is it real or etc., which could also come into it is still a comic story. So could you have a revolver in this fictional universe that holds 8 instead of 6? So it might have been a mistake. There's a very good chance that it was a mistake. But there's always multiple things, right? There's always multiple ways to explain things sometimes. Tina says this, Reddit Letter Media reviewed The Fanatic, and wow. To think that man got 2 Oscar nominations back in the day. Is he that needy for work? The clips they showed were horrible. Oh, Tina, by horrible, you mean amazing. You need to watch that movie because John Travolta gives the performance of his career, and it's the funniest thing I have ever seen in my life. 70B says, this is Sparta. I told you. They love that movie. I don't know why. Chinaman says, I like Zack Snyder, but his vision was too personal in my opinion. He did what he wanted the characters to be and not what they are actually. Batman is not an executioner. Yep. Apollo Patriot says, sup, what's going on? Apollo Patriot? Welcome back. Steady B says, bit choot. Choot. Chinaman says, the lighthouse comes to my country, Morocco, December 18th. I have to wait 2 more months. Can't wait for that movie. Well, Chinaman, I didn't know that you were from Morocco, but welcome from Morocco, man. Chinaman is very active in our conversations on Twitter, so he always tries to tag me in stories and everything, and obviously he's getting involved in the YouTube chats now, so thank you, man. Thank you for being here. And I hope that you're able to get to see the movie as fast as possible. Apollo Patriot says, I like your videos. Oh, thank you, Apollo Patriot. I know. I see you in the comment section all the time, so thank you, man. Thomas Gilkey, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Again, he says, what do you think is the state of the James Bond franchise? I think it's getting old. They had lightning in a bottle when it came to Casino Royale. Casino Royale is arguably still one of the greatest James Bond movies ever. And they decided to go Quantum of Solace, which sucked. They were able to come back a little bit with Skyfall, and then they jumped off the edge and hung on by a thread with Spectre. So it really is an up and down universe. It's an up and down franchise. They're still trying to keep the franchise going. The big question to me is, are they going to try and continue the story, or are they going to try and update the story? And if they're going to try and update the story, that is where my concerns come in. So that's my current thought on that franchise. RoboSlick over on DLive, thank you for the lemon donation. I appreciate it. Glinzer, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, a movie poster for Wolfen was briefly shown in Joker. If you've seen Wolfen, you might see a parallel between it and the third act of Joker. I've actually never seen or heard of Wolfen before, so I did not ever make that connection, but that does sound interesting. If you want to tell me more in the chat, just tag me in Odin question, and I'll read that if you want to reach out to me that way. You don't have to super chat again if you don't want to. Super says, yeah, totally. Outside of animation, I've never been a huge fan of musicals. Nothing wrong with them, just me. I watched it for Gosling and Chazelle. Yeah, I've have a soft spot for musicals. Someone that's done musical theater for most of my life. It's something that I enjoy. And that's why the music is that much more important to me for a movie musical, right? That's the reason why I definitely held that one to a higher standard, because it was Damien Chazelle. I knew what he was capable of, and the music just was not very good. All right, the chat did jump on me again, so it looks like some chats were skipped. I'm at 7:45 in the chat with Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster, who says, Odin, did you hear about Disney trying to replace us with Chinese audiences? In the words of McCready, yeah, well, F you too. Yeah, seriously. It doesn't surprise me, because Disney only cares about money. They don't care about values. They don't care about ethics. All they want to do is make the most money possible. And I think that there is a way to have a balance. I think in a capitalist system, there's a way to want to make profits, but also to want to be moral about it. And I think that what they're doing, and I'm glad that people like South Park are finally exposing it, I think that what they're doing is definitely at least towing the line of morality by supporting these regimes. Apollo Patriot says, I use movie DVDs. Aiden Vickery says, to clear something else up from last night, Kathleen Kennedy has not been knighted in the UK. She was given an entry-level award about 3 beneath a knighthood. She was given less than a bronze medal. The fact that she was given anything, though, it's bonkers, right? I saw that floating around Twitter today. I don't think I was in the stream when they brought that up last night. Maybe I was, but no, I don't think I was. But yeah, I remember seeing that floating around Twitter, and I was like, what? This doesn't make any sense. So it's good to know. Thanks for the clarification on that. And yeah, it's still the fact that she got anything, even if it's less than what we thought it was, just doesn't make any damn sense. Dude in Bathrobe says, it's so sad that people nowadays don't have integrity. Do you have integrity, Odin? Do you, punk? Oh, I got integrity. Just not the kind of integrity you think I got. I don't do that kind of integrity. That kind of integrity is against my integrity. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, Odin, speaking of Paul freaking Dano. Paul freaking Dano. Yes, I never knew his name, but I know his face and I like his work. As I said in the video when I covered that dude is awesome. That dude has been in so many movies that you've probably seen and you just never knew his name. And I'm so glad to see that guy getting the lead spot in the villain role for the Batman movie. Obviously with Robert Pattinson, there's still a lot of questions. There's a lot of doubts. I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt because I just know that he's the type of actor that would be able to put on a great performance and would be able to live up to the role that he's been chosen for. Paul Dano, though, is one that I know is going to hit it out of the park, right? He's someone, I've seen his work. He knows how to be creepy. He knows how to play a character. He is a very great character actor. And obviously, this is going to be a very unique role for him. It's a role he's never played before because he's never been this character before. But I think that if any actor could portray it well, Paul freaking Dano would be one of those persons. And thank you for using his full name. Whenever we speak of Paul Dano, we have to use his full name, and that's Paul freaking Dano. And that story that I had mentioned in the video was true. I've been calling him Paul freaking Dano for years, ever since college, ever since the days of my old podcast with my friends, and we did a podcast together. It was a lot of fun, and we talked about just random everything. It was great. And whenever there was an episode that I was in charge of, and of course we talked about movies, and whenever we would talk, though, Paul freaking Dano would always come up because he's just amazing. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, Odin, big fan of physical media for games and movies. Also, I'm at the scene where Luke meets Yoda for the first time. Unfortunately, I'm getting Yoda Last Jedi flashbacks. Oh, no. Well, try and get it out of your head, man. Please. China Man says, watch Midsommar and Parasite. They are really great. So far, my favorite films of 2019. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Joker, Parasite, Midsommar. I've heard great things about Midsommar. It's a movie that I want to see because I've heard it's very creepy. However, there are certain elements of the film, specifically the sexual elements, that I've always, in any movie, have always thought are just completely unnecessary. I don't think they add anything to the story. I think that most of the time it is done in a pornographic way and it has no reason to be in the film. So I have a feeling that I'll probably have an issue with that, but I'm still waiting to give the film a chance. And then Parasite, yeah, I hear the name a lot, but obviously it has not been a wide release yet. Alice McCarthy says, you know what happens, Odin, when you don't want the movies on the list I named? You know what happens? You just made the list. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Venom Broly says, I have a katana against zombie. I would pick any medieval sword rather than katana. Medieval broadsword would also be good. That would also be good. The reason why I chose katana is because it would be much easier to helm. Much faster swipes. Apollo Patriot says, what about Resident Evil zombies? A Tommy gun. Dude Bathroom says, Odin wants to be a samurai. That's cultural appropriation. Yeah. Super Anime Gamer says, also, lastly found a part of IMDb TV on Amazon. La La Land, Drive, Apocalypse Now, Shutter Island, and The Professional are all up for free with ads. Go forth, my fellow film buffs. Will follow the way. Super Anime Gamer, he knows the way. He knows the way to free movies, my friends. Yeah. IMDb, I know, has gotten into the service a little bit, so that's not surprising that they've got some movies available. Let's see. Stray Dog 65 says, oh, thank you very much for the diamond donation. Says, loved Alita, and we'll be seeing Joker too. Well, Stray Dog 65, Alita Battle Angel, one of the best films of the year. It's in my top 5, and Joker is my number 1 film of the year at this point. So definitely go see it. It's fantastic. Captain Mr. Roy says, The Fanatic was directed and co-written by Fred Durst. I now have to see this movie. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. I should have led with that. So The Fanatic is a movie that stars... Oh, my Lord. Justin Kerber, thanks for subscribing to the channel. So it stars John Travolta. And that should already be enough. But if that wasn't enough for you, it is indeed directed and written by Fred Durst. If you don't know who Fred Durst is, you've probably heard of this little band called Limp Bizkit. And there's a certain album of Limp Bizkit There's many albums, but there's one in particular that's called The Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. And it is one of the funniest albums, one of the greatest albums that have ever existed in rock and roll music. And if you don't know what I'm talking about yet still, do yourself a favor and make sure you have your earmuffs ready because it has some very inappropriate language in it. But look up the song Hot Dog by Limp Bizkit. Let me just put it this way. They say the F-bomb at least 46 times. Yeah. The version of that disc, of that CD I had when I was younger was the edited version. And so you can imagine a song that is mostly the F word edited out is hysterical. But yeah, that dude directed The Fanatic, and The Fanatic is wonderful. It is so wonderful. Bruce says, Transformers started good and then blah. Ben V says, what do you think we'll see in the Rise of Soy Walker trailer on Monday? It's allegedly coming out Monday, so I don't know exactly. I'm assuming that it will, seeing that they've now announced the ticket sales for Monday. It seems likely that a trailer will also coincide with it. I don't think we're seeing anything new. However, I would not be surprised if they throw in a new element that has not yet been revealed, because they want to raise interest. They want people to buy tickets. They want it to be the highest grossing pre-sales of all time, which is why they're releasing it this early, right? They're the pre-sale starting in October when the film comes out, mid-late December. Is insane. It's not unheard of, but it's still insane for a film that has almost no hype around it. So do not be surprised if Disney decides to throw in some random scenes or random characters that could, for all we know, be brand new because they're trying to get clicks, they're trying to get audiences to go see the movie. So I don't think we're going to see anything new personally, but I would also not be surprised if they try to add in some stuff to try and bolster their opening day ticket sales, because trust me, they are Disney, they are all ego. They want this film to have the most pre-sales of all time. They want this to be the highest first day sales of all time. I don't think they're going to get there, even if they've got something amazing in that trailer. Captain K-Man, thank you for the 2 lemon donation. I appreciate you very much. Mark Krell says, Bumblebee was mostly exactly like my very first Transformers comic book, but I think I remember it being a dude buying him from the dealer, but the rest I kind of remembered. Yeah, I as someone, again, that was never a comics person, that was not a Transformers original series person, I saw it just as a general movie, having seen just a couple of the Michael Bay Transformers movies, and it was better than those films, but the writing was just not good. The writing was just very, very rough. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, Odin Martin Scorsese is some guy who said some things. Soul Assassin says, you say art, I say, where are the dinosaur bones at? Damn right. Linzer says, for the Shang-Chi movie, will Disney bow so hard that they get stuck in the position? Yes, absolutely. And I think that film might actually, there's a chance that film might bomb. If the current political state in Hong Kong continues for a long time, which it seems like it's not slowing down all that much, if that eventually breaks into mainland China, and if Shang-Chi is an American movie company, Disney, that's trying to kowtow to the Chinese government, Disney can become public enemy number 1 in China, or public enemy number 2 under the Chinese government in China. So you could actually see a huge backfire on that if they go too hard trying to appease the Chinese government, because everything's now becoming a lot more transparent. People are becoming bolder in what they're saying about the Chinese government. You've got, again, South Park, a giant show that's literally mocking Disney for giving into the censor's demands. So I think you could potentially see Disney get thrown into the mix, and that would be terrible for their bottom line. John Early says, for Martin Scorsese, Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo is art. Most Marvel films are not. Even Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, I assume. Super Anime Gamer says, speaking of Scorsese's MCU comments, did you see how Robert Downey Jr. responded? Howard Stern asked him about it, and he handled it like a boss. Wouldn't say he was right or wrong, but valid. No, I haven't seen his, but Robert Downey Jr. tends to be a solid guy in general, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was at least respectful with his comments, unlike some of the other people that have said other things. Tech Guy, thank you very much for the $2 super chat, says, Robert Pattinson said Batman is not a hero. Wow. I almost did a video on that story, Tech Guy. However, you have to read the rest of his quote. You have to read the rest of his quote because it provides a little bit more context, but also keep in mind, Robert Pattinson's been saying weird things for a long time. So I would take what he says with a giant grain of salt. I would not get offended by what he says in that interview. I would go back, read the entire quote in its completion, and also I would look up other weird things he's said in the past, and that should hopefully alleviate any concerns you might have. China Man says, I gave you top 10. Here's my favorite here's my favorite F between 10 and 20. Okay, so your favorite films, 10 and 10 to 20, says Lord of the Rings 3, Shawshank, Zodiac, Lord of the Rings 1, Spirited Away, Batman Begins, There Will Be Blood, Inglourious Basterds, I, Tonya, It's a Wonderful Life. I'm assuming you meant It's a Wonderful Life, not It's a Wonderful Time. I, Tonya is in your list. That's interesting. It's a good movie. It's a solid movie. I wouldn't put it in my top 20, though. That's one film I would disagree on. Lorenzo, who says, funny how a lot of video games might as well be 10-star films with their writing. Hollywood could learn a thing or two from them. Yeah, especially really well done games that they take time to really craft. Absolutely. Laura says, do you have or collect any movie swords? There are some really cool ones out there. I've always wanted to, but it's always been a price and practicality thing that have kept me from it. The Lord of the Rings swords and rings were ones I always wanted to dive into. See, Crazy Eyed Jedi says, Flash Gordon still happening? It's been delayed last time I heard because of other projects that have been coming up. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster, Odin Space Jam 2 will have LeBron working with the Chinese to save the planet. Yes. Yes. Liquid Plastic says, with the news of the new Evil Dead movie, do you have any hopes for the new movie? So I like Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. I've never been a fan of Evil Dead 1, and I never saw the remake. So I think that it could be good because I heard great things about the remake. They already did a remake of Evil Dead, and I heard great things about it. So if they're doing this as an Evil Dead 2 remake, it could be good. I think that especially if they try and go for a shot-for-shot remake of an Evil Dead 2, that'll get a lot of criticism and a lot of comparisons to the original, which are, obviously it's a really hilarious movie. But yeah, it could be hit or miss. But I heard they had success with the first remake they did. Tina says, I have collected revolvers with 8 chambers, so maybe. Okay, so Tina worked in law enforcement for a while, so she says that she has collected revolvers with 8 chambers in it, so it's definitely a possibility. As I said, it's likely a mistake, but it sounds to me like you might be able to still explain it away. Jay Stowe says, hearing that about Space Jam, I don't know. I think that I should be one and done, even if it is many years later or two. Yeah, especially with the way they're going to do the effects. They're not going to be able to get the effects to look the same. And the effects, even now in 2019, for Space Jam 1 still work for what they are. It still works for the movie that it is. And it's not a great movie. It's just a fun, entertaining, nostalgic film at this point. So there's no reason to remake it. There's no reason to make a sequel. And I really do think that it's going to be awful. You had me at LeBron James when I was like, no thanks. Let's see. Death Knight 123 says, I gotta go. I'll try not to miss any more streams in the future. Well, thank you, Death Knight. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing just fine. Tina says, life is too short for me to watch Fanatic. I'd rather watch The Room again because it's brilliant. Well, again, if you think The Room is brilliant, that's what The Fanatic is. So if you want to have 2 films in your life that you can go to and say these are brilliant films, add The Fanatic to your list. Animation Commentator says, I was wondering if you and your followers have heard of Justin Murphy. He's making a gritty 2D animation called Dogtown. It's supposed to be a mix between Hunger Games and Watership Down. I've never heard of any of those things. Linzer says, Wolfen is a horror movie from 1981 that concerns a pack of wolves who are taking back the city through violence. Damn. Wow. Bruce says, speaking of 1980s, on the 2-hour round trio to our granddaughter's birthday, we jammed to 107.7 The Shark, 70s and 80s. They even played the long version of Bohemian Rhapsody. That sounds like a damn good time to me. Ben V says, what did you think about The Greatest Showman? P.S. I love musical theater. I loved it. I loved it. The music is what got me through that movie. It's not perfect. The effects are cringeworthy at times. However, especially when the song with Zendaya, it's just the effects just don't look very good for that scene. But the music is fantastic, and I love the music. In fact, I was listening to a song from that musical today because it's just that good. And it's interesting because speaking of that musical and La La Land, it was written by the same people. The same people that wrote the music for La La Land wrote the music for Greatest Showman. And isn't it interesting that The Greatest Showman has some of the most memorable songs in it, and La La Land has no memorable songs in it? It's just, it's amazing. It's amazing what can happen when people are being controlled behind the scenes. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, Odin, really? I didn't know women could get awards for getting men their coffee. Boom. That's pretty harsh. Tina says, I was laughing when you called Disney's tactics similar to China because Clownfish TV called their tactics Gestapo, like with their cover-ups. Walt is rolling in his grave. Yeah, absolutely. Orange Eye Review says, my two favorite musicals are Phantom of the Opera and Little Shop of Horrors. Saw Phantom when I was 13. The music was very good in my opinion. It pulled you in. A great story too. Yeah, Phantom is a musical, not the movie necessarily, but the musical is one that most people, even non-musical theater people, tend to like because it's just, again, very, very powerful. But yes, I would agree. Little Shop of Horrors is also a great musical too. It's interesting how different the movie is from the musical. The musical has a dark ending, and it tested poorly. So the original ending of Little Shop of Horrors actually has Audrey 2 winning, eating Audrey, eating Seymour, as Seymour tries to kill the monster, and then all the plants take over the world. And the test screenings they had for the movie, everyone was like, oh, no, because no one likes that down ending. And so they decided to change the ending of the movie to a happier ending where they end up together. I don't really want to say spoiler warning because that movie came out, 40 years ago about. Aiden Vickery, Kathleen Kennedy was given the award for the amount of business she threw the way of UK film production companies. Okay, that makes a little sense, but still, really? Another thing about Bond is I wonder if they're trying to keep up with the sort of pendulum casting they used to do, meaning going from super serious to goofy to balance the world out. Yeah, and especially with the current age we're in, it's going to be a question of what direction do they want to go with the character? What direction do they want to go with the story? Because if you look at all the old school Bonds, they all seem to be products of their time. Like they all fit in with the time they came out in. So that's the reason why I'm scared, because if they're thinking, oh, what's the Bond of our time? It's going to be woke. And I don't want that. Poppyton, thank you for the ice cream donation. I appreciate you very much. I appreciate you. Sunny B says, Pod K. Oh my goodness, that's podcast. So every now and then, for those that are new to the channel perhaps, Stephanie B likes to always throw in random, and they're meant to be bad spellings of actual words. And this one, it just takes the cake. She spells pod, P-A-O-O-O-D, cast, K-A-S-Y-T-E. I always love her terrible misspelling. She does it on purpose, and it's great. Podcast. Eric Hogg Gaming. I can't believe it's 2 months before Rise of Soy Walker comes out, and there's no official trailer. Yeah, but hey, we might be getting it Monday. Apollo Patriot says, Sabaton is good stuff. Tina says, so this Limp Bizkit song is like Scarface with Al Pacino. Pretty much. It's Scarface in, I guess you could say, song form. Soul Assassin says, there's a movie called On the Line. It's a line man movie, and John Travolta not only looks like my dad, but did a poor portrayal of lineman, and to this day, my dad hates John Travolta. That's fantastic. Professional Gun 66, have you seen Repo Man? I've not, but I have seen the movie that came before Repo Man called Repo the Genetic Opera, of which I'm pretty sure Repo Man had ripped off. I could be wrong on that. But Super says, after seeing his indie work, I like Pattinson a lot. Just don't think he has the charisma to be Batman, and some of his quotes I've seen in passing makes me think he doesn't get Batman. Yeah, he probably doesn't get it. He probably doesn't, but he is still a great actor, and so as long as the director and writers understand Batman, they will get a good performance out of him for that character. So I still think he's got some I think he has a lot of potential. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, Odin, now I know you be loving that. Now I know y'all be loving this right here. Limp Bizkit is right here. People in the house, put the hands in the air, because if you don't care, then we don't care. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water. Oh man, that brings me back. Apollo Patriot, you think SJWs will call the waffles racist? Yes, that's why we should get pancakes instead. Will Gentry says, there is something I'd been planning all week to ask you, but I can't remember for the life of me what it is. So instead, I'll just say hello. Well, hello, Will. If you remember, then please ask. The Shiato says, since you like musical theater, Google Best Zangers, Phantom of the Opera, nice duet. Best Zangers? Interesting. Send that my way on Twitter, perhaps. Jace Doe says, talking about funny censorship in music, the way the radio edit censors joints in Tom Petty's You Don't Know How It Feels is so funny, and you hear, let's roll another joy. Yeah, radio edits are always great. Cobra Kai never dies, says Random Nerd of Doom. Apollo Patriot says, I think Enemy at the Gates is the best war movie still. I've never seen Enemy at the Gates. However, I think Patriot. No, not Patriot. Patriot's a great film. Saving Private Ryan is my favorite war film so far. Bruce says, sorry, Naked Prey, Akira, Tank Girl, The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, Stargate, Logan's Run, What About Bob, Treasure Planet, The Last Starfighter, Eraserhead, Jacob's Ladder, Zulu. Those are all films that Bruce has sent me. I have seen Akira. I have seen Stargate. And those are the only films that he sent me that I've seen so far. But at least I've seen 2 of them. That's something. For loading your watch list, says Bruce. Shane Egan says, China Uncensored said that you have to give props to LeBron. It's hard to play basketball without a spine. That's true. John Early says, I like to think of Batman straddling the line between hero and villain because before Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, Batman used to do a lot of things that classic Superman would never do. Well, here's the thing is that he is a hero, right? But he's the Dark Knight. That's the reason why he's called that, is because he does things the way that many people wouldn't. He doesn't stay in and he's not bound by the laws. He's bound by his own code and he will not violate his code, but he is still not bound by anything else other than that. Random Nerd says, should they do a Mr. Miyagi prequel series? No, they should not, because I just think Mr. Miyagi and the mystery behind his character is fine the way it is. Dory DeHobbit says, your thoughts on Sam Raimi returns to direct horror for Columbia Pictures? I think it could be a wonderful thing. Sam Raimi is a very talented director. We know what he can do with horror films, so let's hope that they give him the creative freedom to do exactly what he does best. Random Nerd says, if they added aliens into Cobra Kai, would they wreck the... What? No. I'm not even going to finish that statement, because no. Let's just get aliens out of the discussion, please. 70B says, well, 70B, you're awesome. China Man says, I think Robert Pattinson has a point. Batman always been on his own and complicated, and Matt Reeves said Batman is a troubled guy who's trying to do the right thing, he thinks, to get bats. Yeah, again, as I said before, I think that his quote was taken out of context. You need the full quote to get the full context. And also that's just his opinion, man, right? Everyone's going to have a different opinion and a different take on a character. The question is it going to be consistent with the character or not? A lot of people had the same criticisms before Joker came out. A lot of people have been brought to the light. Some people still are very critical, and they're every right to be critical because it's not like the comic character that they know and love. It's not exactly like the comic character they know and love. I think that there's enough of Joker in Joker to justify the movie as being a legitimate film and a legitimate story about the origins of the Joker. But hey, we shall see. Let's see. China. All right. Chris Stanley says, seen Clue. Yes, Clue is amazing. I love the movie Clue. All the endings. It's so funny. Glenzer says, for a new Batman movie, I think Adrian Brody would be a good visual fit for Joker. Visual fit, yes. Even acting talent. He would have potential, but they've already got their Joker. I think that if they were going to have to bring in someone else in this universe, I would rather them try and bring back Joaquin. CAF Productions coming to another stream. What's going on, CAF? Animation Commentator says, did you see Dark Crystal Age of Resistance on your wife's account yet? I watched it several times on coworker's account. It's fantastic. The Hensons really know their stuff. So I've mentioned this several times on the streams before, and I know that you haven't been in the streams lately. I watched the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and I couldn't get past it. I'm glad they're using the old school puppet animation. However, the puppets haven't changed since the 1980s, and I have a problem with that. I'm perfectly fine, and I'm happy that they're doing old school animation style. But as I said, the fact that you can't have a perfect mashup with the movement of the mouth and the words that are being spoken, that bothers me. It's fine for a 1980s movie because that's the technology that they had. But the fact that we're in 2019 now and you're using the same technology with no updates to it, right? Because you can have old school technology, but you can do it better. Like, for example, they're still doing claymation. They're still doing stop motion, but guess what's gotten better? The camera work, right? They can now do it in less time. They can now mass produce because of 3D printing, all of these things, and they can just, again, they can do it better, even though it's the same technology. That's what I wanted out of this series. And so I might go back to it. I haven't decided yet. As I've mentioned before, there's a crap ton of stuff I need to watch, especially movies. So I just, after 10 minutes, I was like, this doesn't seem worth my time. But if you like it, hey, I can see why it would definitely appeal to a lot of people, especially those that are fans of the original. But I was expecting something a little bit different. Let's see. Alex McCarthy says, I like that biker Undertaker theme from Limp Bizkit's Rollin' Rollin'. Keep rolling, rolling, rolling. Let's see. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster, Odin has time to smash Captain Marvel, but doesn't have time to watch good movies. Liquid Plastic. What movies, if any, do you want a remake of or reboot to? I can't think of any, to be honest. There's been other people that have mentioned films that I've not seen that seem likely to have possibly be benefiting a reboot, remake. But at this point, let's just not remake. Let's just not reboot. Instead, let's have original stories. Let's let original content creators get some time in the light, and let's get the next Batman, right? Or let's get the next Casablanca. Let's get the next Blade Runner. Let people be creative and don't fall into this mindset, movie studios, of only producing films that are going to be potentially franchises. Because you can make a movie. Joker is a perfect example. They were not planning to make a franchise out of it, and the film only cost $55 million because that's all they were willing to give the film, and it's over $600 million at this point. It's a film that's going to pass up Justice League this weekend. Justice League cost $350 million to make before taking into account marketing. This film cost $55. I mean, if you don't see the connection there, that audiences want good movies, and as long as you give them the due time and the due promotion for it and support and backing, like Warner Brothers is obviously being supportive of this film, you're never going to change. Bruce says, oh, you haven't seen Enemy at the Gate? This cannot stand. Oh, Lord. Sounds like I'm getting another movie. He says, done, movie ordered. Bruce, thank you. Thank you again, man. I appreciate it. Oh, man. Apollo Patriot says, what about cookies mix in waffles? What is your take on it? Ooh, cookie mix and waffle batter? That sounds delicious. Cookie waffles. China says, George Bailey is a true hero. Damn right. I like that, George Bailey. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, Odin, Jeff likes Endgame more than Joker. Boo, this man. Jeff from World Class? Yeah, dude. Jeff, what are you smoking? Endgame is better than... No. Acting, writing, objectively speaking, are leaps and bounds better. He can subjectively enjoy Endgame more than Joker. It's not a better film. So I think that sounds like it's his subjective thought, and I'm fine with that. Again, you can subjectively enjoy any film you want, right? But objectively speaking, Joker is hands down better. Danny Agent, well, thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you for the very, very, very much for the super chat. It says, DC, I don't know what currency that is, so thank you. He says, DC villains movie wish legal thriller based on, so DC villains movie wish list. Legal thriller based on origin of Two-Face, sci-fi psychological thriller about Riddler, and a mafia crime drama about Penguin. All three of those sound great. Danny Agent 87, all those ideas sound fantastic. And that's what I'm hoping the direction they go in, to be honest. I think that because of the success of Joker, they'll be able to make the Batman the detective movie that they were planning on making it. I think that's what the original plan was. So that's going to happen. Now I think that you do open up the possibility of them making a standalone Riddler movie. You have the potential. And also, if the Batman is successful, and if Paul freaking Dano is as good as I think he's going to be, you could have a spinoff where you say, we're going to take this actor, this character, and make his own solo movie, right? then you're not making franchises. Then you're just making individually good films that can take place in the same universe without crossover, right? Or without a direct crossover. I think that's the future. So Danny Agent, thank you very much, man. Sammy says, flames on the side of my face. Yes. John Early says, fun fact about Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life. There was a gender swap made for TV remake called It Happened One Christmas, and George Bailey and Mary Hatch switched places. That's stupid. Oh, why? I feel like Nancy Kerrigan. Why? Oh, that's awful. Apollo Patriot says, you like the war movie Band of Brothers? That's a show, right? I believe that's a show. I own it. I've never seen it, but I do own it. Dilligaff, thank you for the $10 super chat. Thank you very much, man. He says, top 3 movies that were one objective mistake from being a perfect film. Oh gosh, that's such a specific question. Oh man. I guess I have to think about, I guess that means my own subjective list of movies that are objectively good. There is no such thing as an objectively perfect movie because every film is going to have a editing mistake, a visual error. Old school movies will have a lot of audio issues, audio errors, right? So it's really hard. It's a hard question to answer. So I'd have to go with my own list of movies that I think are the best. So 12 Angry Men. I think obviously you could have, if 12 Angry Men had an objective flaw in its script, it would have sunk the movie because that script needed to be almost damn near perfect in order for that movie to work. Let's see, Blade Runner. You would, if it was not able to pull off its visual effects in that time in history, it would have actually, that's an example of a film that did fail, right? Because when they released that film, what they do? They didn't think people could understand it. And so they added a voiceover, and that ended up actually making the movie not as good as the final cut version. So that's an example where there was an objective flaw with that, right? By treating the audience dumb, and you end up, walking the entire movie along you walk the audience along the entire time, and it takes away from the experience of the movie itself. So those would be 2 I could think of. But thank you very much, man. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Great question. I wish I could give you more, but it's hard to do. Darwin James WR says they should use their Joker movie as a soft reboot of the DCEU. If Bruce was 8 while Fleck was 25 to 30, 20 years later, Bruce would be 28, Joker would be 45, 50. No problem with the age difference. No, they could. They absolutely could use this. I don't think they are. The original plan was for this to be a one-off. They already have other plans for an interconnected DC universe and also continuing their solo films, and they could probably make that work. They probably could. I would be okay if they said we're rebooting it, to be honest. However, I would be afraid of what they would do with it. And I don't think they're going to, because people like Joaquin Phoenix are not wanting to be involved in franchises, and also would be wanting to do other work. And so you would have years between films, and that would be a problem. That's where the problem would come in. So the initial age difference wouldn't be a problem, but over time it could be. Over time, it definitely could be. Let us see. Let's see. Sierra Production says, Odin has time to read comments, but not to see Joker in IMAX. Yeah, unfortunately, I missed the ball on that one because now they've got frickin' Maleficent in there. My hope is that Maleficent bombs. I haven't been following the box office on that this weekend, but let me see. So Maleficent opened to so it looks like it's projected to be number 1 this weekend. It only made $12.5 million on Friday though. Zombieland 2 made 10. Joker still made 8. So what I'm hoping is that Maleficent doesn't do as well this weekend, drops off tremendously weekend 2. And then they're able to put Joker back in for a couple of showings. That would be the best. Stray Dog 65 says, the audience isn't that dumb. Disney, hold my beer. Yeah, Stray Dog 65, exactly. Oh, that's so true. That is so true. Mr. Dr. Professor Winter says, Odin, do or do not. There is no try. This is true. Wise words, Yoda. Super. Oh, Odin, speaking of Joker, did you see the news floating around about Jared Leto? Apparently, the idea of making a movie without him left him so offended he tried to get it canceled. I have heard about this. I don't know how true it is. So it's kind of one of those take with a grain of salt situations. But if it is true, bad on you, Jared Leto, because you're such a talented actor. You don't need Joker. You don't need the franchise to continue to work in Hollywood because you're just so damn talented. Let it go. You made a mistake. Your character was not good. You're the worst Joker in cinematic history. That's at this point objective and subjectively. Most people subjectively think that, but objectively it is also a fact that it's not a good performance. So just let it go, man. Let it go. Let it go. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, Odin, a little off topic, but will we ever get a R movie where Sean Bean lives? An R movie? Probably not. There have been a couple of PG movies where he has survived. There's one movie where he was actually supposedly dead and then came back. CI Production says, Odin has time to think of waffles made from cookie batter, but not to play the I'm sorry, I'm really sorry clip. Well,
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry.
It's not playing.
I'm really sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I don't know if it was playing audio. I don't know if the audio was playing or not, but I don't know where it went. Where'd it go?
I'm sorry.
Hello?
I'm really sorry.
I'm
sorry.
It's not playing.
I'm really...
Oh, no. I think what happened was I downloaded it on something and I must have deleted some stuff. Oh, no. Poppyton says it's playing here. Okay, well, I'm glad that the audio at least came through. If the audio came through, that's the most important thing. The video, though, I don't think came through. But Poppyton did indeed put the... Poppyton put the GIF that we have over on DLive up there. I appreciate that. Chinaman says, thoughts on Princess Mononoke, one of the Studio Ghibli's best films. I have not seen that one specifically, but Studio Ghibli is fan-freaking-tastic. Chinaman says, I recommend you see Touch of Evil, an Orson Welles film, a noir detective film with a great plot and great subplot. Yeah, Orson Welles is a guy that I would love to dive more into his filmography. I think that it would be fascinating to do more of that because I do love the work that I've seen him in, but I would definitely like to own. I hope that they do at some point with everything going in the realm of 4K now, and we're getting 4K transfers of 35 millimeter prints. I would love to get like classic actors box sets at 4K resolution. Oh, that'd be amazing. I hope they do that. Apollo Patriot says, what about the Deathstroke movie Solo? It depends on who they have playing Deathstroke. Lorenzo, who says, ever notice foreign blockbusters don't even make it to theaters when they come here in the U.S., especially the animated films? Yeah, I have. It really comes down to, I think, the fact that the giant blockbusters of China are made for China audiences, and therefore there's no reason for them to bring them here because they're not made for these audiences. Therefore, they probably won't really translate as effectively to American audiences are lazy. They don't want to watch films with subtitles, you know? So I think that they are wise to keep them over there. Gold Wolf 008. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. No message, but I appreciate you. I appreciate that very much. All right, I do got to start wrapping things up. I'm actually overtime tonight. And I did get to Danny Agent's super chat. I saw that comment there, so I had to skip some comments. I'm sorry. I'll have to be going to people that I have not heard a lot from tonight. Professional Gun 66 says, Once Upon a Time in the West is a perfect movie. Good to know. Let's see. JT Spree says, go check out the Box Office Mojo controversy film list that Joker's now number 2 on. The reasons are hilarious. Yeah, I saw that it was on the list, but they had not given a reason to it yet. But yeah, I have that up here. So yeah, they don't have a reason for the Joker yet. However, it's great that they have Da Vinci Code is listed as being anti-Christian, Day After Tomorrow because of global warming, Django Unchained because of the N-word. It's just, it's a great list. It's a great list that they got up there, that's for sure. Yeah, Maleficent's number 1, Tina says. Well, Gentry says, Jared doesn't need Joker, but I can understand why he was annoyed. He didn't get another chance to really show what he can do, but that's no excuse to try and shut down a film. Yep. Absolutely. All right, everyone else has been read several times tonight. Orange Hat Reviews. So now I'm caught up with the chat. Says, also wanted to say thank you for your awesomeness. Recently hit my end of the year sub goal. You were the inspiration for getting me started. I'm very appreciative. Well, thank you, Orange Hat Reviews. Thank you so much, man. And congratulations on your subscribers. I think, what was it, 200 that you hit? Congratulations, man. And if you are a subscriber of this channel and you're watching right now, go check him out. He's good people. He's good people. If you want honest, down-to-earth conversations about the various news of the day, movie reviews, he's a great place for that. So thank you for being supportive of the channel, man. And congratulations again. That's awesome. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. We had a really good discussion tonight, I think, and it's always really fun to have these discussions with you. I'm sorry if we weren't able to get to everything on the list of things, but I think we did talk a pretty good deal about China, freedom, Quentin Tarantino, right? That Quentin Tarantino calling out and saying, no, screw you, China, I'm not changing my movie is the right move. And hopefully more big names and more people in Hollywood and in pop culture start to actually do that. That'd be great for that to happen. But also, I think that the most important thing we can take away from the whole China debacle is that freedom is amazing. And I don't just say that as a cocky American. I say that as a human being that understands that all of us as human beings deserve basic human rights. All of us deserve to be treated with respect. All of us deserve to be treated with dignity. And it's disturbing that we live in a world where a government can treat people like commodities, that can treat people and not give them the rights that they are due by their own existence. And I'm really hoping and praying for the people of Hong Kong. I'm hoping and praying for the people of China that some change is able to come about from this, and that we don't have violent people trying to take over the movement, that people aren't going to try and, push things one way or the other because of their own violent political motivations, but because it's what's honestly good for the people. And anything that's ever done that is in support of freedom, I will always support. And so, yeah, I just want to say that for people in Hong Kong, hashtag free Hong Kong, hashtag, free China, really. And really, really hope that we're able to get to a point in the next several years where we can finally have, again, even more freedom, because freedom is amazing. A couple of things, a couple of donations to get through. Chris Stanley, thank you for the $5 donation, says, another movie you need to watch is another Bill Murray classic, The Man Who Knew Too Little. I already got that one. You've already mentioned that one. Wait a minute. Did that pop up again? Yeah, Chris Stanley, you've already sent that one. Well, thank you anyway for sending it again. And Gold Whiff, thank you for the $5 super chat, says, do you agree that entertainment in all its mediums desperately needs another renaissance? Yes and no. I think that we're getting some of that actually with films like Joker, with the streaming services, to be honest. I think Irishman, for example, by Scorsese is going to be a great film. I think that it's going to be the film that we desperately need right now. So I agree to a point. I think that we're getting some of that right now. But yes, overall, I think what needs to happen is that audiences, I think, need to start demanding more. And that's something that only we can do. Only we can choose to spend our money the way we want to. Only we can make our choices. And if we can all collectively together, hopefully, start to choose movies that are original, good, solid movies, and are not just these cookie cutter box office blockbusters that have become just so lazy, that will bring about the change. But if we continue to support any film that has Marvel or DC or anything else like that on it, and that's the main driving force, then the studios have no motivation, have no drive to change. So until they start losing money, until they start to realize that they cannot just guarantee that we will go to see their movie just because it has a certain name or title attached to it, nothing else is going to change. So huge shout out to Tina and Steph, who have been awesome tonight. Seriously, it's always great to have them in here, and I really do appreciate the work that they do. They do so much behind the scenes. They keep me on track. They keep me honest. And so Tina and Steph, huge shout out to you. But also let me give a huge shout out to a few great, awesome people. Gosh. Oh, it's been too long. So I need to give a shout out to my October patrons, animation commentator, glad to have you in the chat tonight, Baptist 702, Brian P, Dion, Edward Coleman, Elizabeth M, Enrique Evangelista, Entertainment Hacker, Father Christopher Miller, Frank the Tank and the Shahin Weird Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunka Chunka Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Interdraft Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toone, JJ Jonathan Jerembeck, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin, Orange Hat Reviews, congratulations on 200 subs, Outpost Dyer, Patrick Layden, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Sir Lancelato, Theodora, Theodore Bendon, The DJD Show, Those Two Bald Guys, US Dutch Kitty, and What an ABC. Thank you so much for being my patrons, and also a huge shout out to my Subscribe Star subscribers of, let's see, we got Drunken Welfare Man, Mr. Roy, Box, History Girl, Tina B, G2 Cool 99, Dark Star 57, Laura Story, Alice McCarthy, US 888209 Fast, Fan Addicts of Film, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod, The Beer Guru, Nebanon G. Adams, and ZK Man. Thank you so much for being awesome and beautiful people. Also, please let me know if you are a Subscribe Star backer, $5 and up, or a Patreon backer, $5 and up. Either message me or just reach out to me, whatever way you know how. If there's any movies that you want me to start putting up for some giveaways, because I do owe you all a Giants movie, like a new release movie giveaway. There just haven't been a whole lot of good movies that have been released on 4K or Steelbook this past month. And I was hoping that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood would be up, but it's still out in theaters, and there's no release date on that yet. Joker pre-orders are there, but it's not coming out until December. So just let me know through email, through messages, etc. So anyway, you guys are freaking awesome. D-Lab people, you stick around. We'll do our chest opening like usual. YouTube people, thank you so much. Make sure you smash the like button on the way out. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And also, please think about using some of the links in the description of this video if you want to find other ways to support the channel, possibly getting some merch, because we got some merch now. We're going through TeePublic now, and they've got tons of new options and such. So everything that can help support the channel is awesome. Even just you watching and liking is more than enough. So thank you so much for your love, for your support. You guys are awesome. Love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. Have a wonderful night. And as always, God bless.